know what it is. Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy.
You know who it is. Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy.
Ode, Maurice, Ode, Maurice.
Maurice, Ode, Maurice, Ode.
Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy.
Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy.
Hey, oh.
Yes, Mo?
Are you ready?
Let's go.
Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy. It's the Black and Snerdy podcast with Ode and Maurice.
Welcome to another episode of the Black and Snerdy podcast. I, of course, am Maurice. I am Maurice. That feels wrong.
You are Maurice. You're
no,
Licorish.
Is it? But sentence structure-wise, it feels wrong to say I am Maurice. You know what I mean? Like,
What other way?
The alternative also doesn't sound right. Like, I feel like the alternative is wrong, and I'm just in my head about this. Because the alternative is IR Maurice.
Yeah, no. I is Maurice.
I
be Maurice.
I be Maurice. If you put it with a royalty sort of, put some stank on it, yeah, and then of course, who are you?
I'm Odie.
And together we are the aforementioned Snerds who talk about so many things on this podcast week to week. How are you doing?
I am doing well, considering.
That's you know what? That's a strong opening sentiment because I also am doing well, all things considered. Like, you know how rough things have to go if what you could say is, well, at least I'm alive. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, the thing is, no, I will say, when I say I am grateful, I try to practice gratefulness every day. Because I believe the more grateful you are for what you have and where you are in the moment, the better things will get for you. Because I was just thinking the other day when I was walking Cookie, how and this is like a silly reference, but I was thinking about something in high school. And I remember thinking how in high school, oh my God, I'm so fat, right? And I just had terrible body image. And then I got older and I maybe gained more weight. And then it was then looking back at me and wow, I wish I would have realized how much what I looked like then compared to now. But then I think again each time I had to counteract. Anytime my body has changed, I have had to counteract a initial hate for the fact that my body has changed into loving my body for however way it is, because you have recognizing that your dislike for something about you is not because that thing necessarily is something to be disliked, but what has been fed to you about yourself. And so many of the things that we've been fed about ourselves and about our body and about our hair and about XYZ has been negative. So you have to constantly, I think, learn how to love different parts of yourself and in different ways. And it had me thinking that I wish I would have in each of those times, in any time of my life, been more appreciative and loving of myself the way that I was, because it could always change, and it could change for in any way, better or worse. But I think about that when it comes to life. If we can appreciate what we have in the moment and be grateful for the things that we have and not focus on what we don't have. One, the fact that we have those things and recognize the privilege in those things, we can be more not necessarily getting to where we're at in our goal. That doesn't mean that we can't have fucking bad days and be this shit fucking sucks. But when I'm walking somewhere or if I'm working out and I'm this is fucking terrible, I hate it, I'll say to myself, after I say this is fucking terrible, I hate it, I'm so grateful that I have legs that can walk and arms that can move and a body that can do the thing that I want it to do, because I recognize that when you get older, sometimes you can't do that, or if you somehow become disabled, and the yearning you might have to just like bend down and pick up a pencil without help is like a thing. So I try to remember that and not be downing, because I feel like if I'm constantly downing something or myself, that's only going to make my stress level worse. So it's not that shit is terrible. It's just that today was annoying. But even in the annoyance, it still had a bright spot, because even though I had to deal with one thing that was frustrating, I didn't have to deal with another thing that could have been frustrating. So it balanced out. But it was still really fucking frustrating.
I struggle with that mindset. I recognize that mindset exists, and that seems healthy. That seems like a healthy way to look at the world. I'm not there right now. Like, I intellectually know how to get there, and I know I should be there, but in practice, it is just...
It's hard to do.
It's a lot of energy. That's a lot of energy to put into, like, spinning the...
Because the thing
finding
about
the good
it
and the
is,
bad, or,
you know how they say it takes, like, more muscles to frown than it does to smile?
See, I've always confused that. Like, I always get confused. Is it that it takes more muscles to frown than to smile, or does it take more muscles to smile than the frown?
It takes more muscles to frown. That's why they like smile, because it takes more muscles to frown. And even...
That feels body shaming in a way.
But I think that the principle...
You'll lose some lbs if you smile more.
The principle, I think, of that is when you are frowning, or versus when you're smiling, generally you're frowning because you're angry, you're upset. And when you're angry, when you're upset, when you're frustrated, etc., that energy, it weighs you down way more than when you are light and joyful, etc. And it's not to say that you're always, like, you're not, like, always love and light. Sometimes shit is really fucking annoying or tough or whatever, or sad, and those are going to be the feelings you have. But when it's like the day-to-day annoyances of life, if it's always if your energy level is always the same for all those things, then when something bigger comes, it's like, then it's just like an avalanche. And if you're constantly using that energy to be upset about something that is like small, you are draining your energy for the day. So even just being awake and moving around and doing your regular day-to-day things is going to be so tiresome. And so it's not that like it's an easy thing. It's just that I am someone that gets I will be in a perpetual state of rage.
Mm-hmm.
Of rage, of annoyance, of just energy consuming, like, emotions. So I have to be able to change that for my own sake and for the sake of others, because my feelings about something, I'm not going to be putting that on someone else because I'm having a bad day or because I'm annoyed, because my annoyance is a personal problem. And if you don't know how to regulate somehow and switch off somehow, then everyone else is going to be constantly getting your, like, negative feedback and the energy that you're, like, putting out, unless that person is the source of the energy, like, that's not their thing. So I just, and I'm very mindful of that. The energy that you're thinking of, that you're putting out into the world, is what you're going to get back. And I want to constantly put out an energy of gratitude and a mindset of gratitude. So, because I want to be thankful for what I have, because one, I know that, like, what I have now is better than what I've had before, and how easy it could be to turn back there. And I don't want to look back and be like, damn, I should have enjoyed that while I had it. Because you never know the good old days until they're the good old days.
While you were speaking, it also dawned on me that not only does it take more muscles to frown than to smile, it also takes more muscles to frown than to be indifferent.
So are you saying instead of smiling, you should be indifferent?
I'm saying indifference isn't a bad option.
I think indifference.
Obviously, the go-to option would be be happy, be positive, smile. But if you're right in the middle, then you're prepared for either side.
Okay.
That means that either side can, hey, it could be bad, it could be worse, it could be better. And you're just being. You're just right there in the middle, existing, you know?
I think that it is okay to sometimes just exist. Because sometimes that, like, it's what, you know, they call that new thing that they talk about called, like, bed rotting, where people just kind of, like, lay in bed and don't do anything. And
no, I've never heard that.
Oh, well,
that sounds
online,
like heaven.
They're talking about just, like, rotting, right? Like, sometimes that's necessary. However, even within that, you have to be mindful of this, like, rotting that you're doing so that you are not just... If that's the only thing you're doing, then that's not healthy. Like, if it's like a weekend and you've been doing so many things throughout the week and throughout the month, and you said, you know what, today I'm just going to lay here. That's okay. But if that's every weekend, if that's every day, and that's the only thing that you feel like doing, that is speaking to a bigger problem, because why would you not want to be able to do something else besides just rotting in bed? Those are the, it's just like a...
You could also just enjoy your bed. Some people really enjoy their bed.
I love my bed. I think beds are amazing.
Beds are dope.
Beds are dope.
You could be grateful that you have a bed.
You have to be able to get out of the bed. That is just, you have to be able to do that. Unless you physically are unable to get out, do something, get some fresh air, like see the sun, see the moon, and the stars. If like, there are plenty of people who would love the freedom to just walk up and down and outside as they please. And so, being indifferent sometimes, it can't be a constant state of being.
New York has changed my mentality to mold me into the indifferent, lovable bastard you see in front of you. Yes, I blame my time here.
Oh, whatever.
I don't think this would have happened
my
if I stayed in
here
Baltimore or DC.
That I've lived my whole life except for the 5 years I was in DC.
Well, pardon me that you're the rose that grew from concrete.
Oh, shut up. Anyway,
you don't
let's
get out of here.
Let's
dive into
the
questions. Q&A
M&O.
with M&O. So, hit me with these beautiful, beautiful questions. Okay. First question, does your family have does your family have a Thanksgiving dish that's sacred? Ooh, I know the answer to this already.
I know the answer for yours.
I know the answer for mine as well. I actually don't know the answer for yours. Because, like, your family, and by extension you, or you and by extension your family, I'm going to say it's you, because I learned about your family through you.
Yes.
But I'm not 100% sure if you are the most accurate representation for your family. I think you live in a world of extremes. And I think that you, as the unique butterfly that you are, might be an exaggeration of your family from what I've met. Now, you are a foodie. Like, yes.
But my family's foodies. I love food because my family loves food.
Okay, so
well, at least my immediate family. I think my outer, like my intermediate family loves food. The family out, it's like a coin toss.
I think for you, all food is comfort food. Like, you know how like everybody has that one dish that like when there's a bad day, you could fall back on and just like, you know, like in all those movies where a person gets dumped and the next scene you see them watching romantic movies while eating a pint of ice cream or something like that. Like, I don't think you have one dish. I think all dishes are your dish. So
I love to eat.
Yeah. And with that being said, it's hard for me to imagine that you specifically, not in your family, but you would have a dish at Thanksgiving that you hold sacred, because every Thanksgiving there's probably a different assortment of dishes. if you had your way. But I'm not sure if that is accurate to your family. Like, your family might have a dish.
That's not even accurate to me. Because Thanksgiving, I think that Thanksgiving has a very specific menu that I would like there to be. So I personally think that my dish, the dish that I will pick, will be the dish that I would say, in general, out for a few outliers, in general, most people in my family would pick. But what I know what yours is, but you tell me what it is.
No, you tell me yours. I'm curious. We all know what mine is. There's a Barbados flag flying somewhere behind me. Like, fine, but like,
there's not
a figurative flag.
Okay, I'll guess yours if you want to guess mine.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know yours.
Okay, well, can I say yours?
Sure.
Oxtails.
Ha! It would actually be my mother's mac and cheese.
Okay.
You were thinking of my dad's side, but I've been to more of my mom's Thanksgivings, and those were the Thanksgivings that I went to growing up. I didn't start going to my dad's Thanksgivings until I was like teenager.
Okay. Well, your mom's mac and cheese is very delicious.
It is a staple. Like, it is so delicious. I would say her potato salad, but Mom, I love you, but you haven't made potato salad in a long time, and I think you should bring it back. But it's hard for me to be living in New York, and then I come see you and say, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, hey, how about some potato salad?
I mean, before before I visit my dad, I always tell him what I want him to make me. I say, hey, like, I'm coming. Please, can you make...
Well, you're the ultimate foodie.
XYZ.
And you're the ultimate daddy's girl.
I'm not the ultimate daddy's girl.
You're easily top 10. Easily top 10. Like, your jersey's not retired because you're still on the court. Dunking on daddy's girls.
I would say for my family, mac and cheese would be the staple.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a very
no one's in particular, but just like mac and cheese, because that's we just love mac and cheese.
See, my mom has a specific recipe that she, that's what makes her mac and cheese like
top
sacred.
Tier.
Yeah.
Well, I do agree with your mom's mac and cheese being delicious. I enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So I can understand why it would be top tier.
Yes. But you thought I was gonna say oxtails.
I did, because I know that like it's your Aunt Cheryl that makes them.
Aunt Cheryl, sometimes Aunt Linda, and sometimes my dad.
Yeah,
and I think Shanique has made some too.
But I just know that you love those oxtails, and you're always talking about them so much.
Yeah. White people are getting this close to ruining oxtails.
They have already. It's so expensive.
They made it so. Why did you gentrify oxtails of all things? Like,
that's why it's getting, because they figured it out, and it's like, because the thing is, Black people, Asian people, Latinx, like so many non-white folk have been using oxtails for so long. It's been in so many dishes. And then all of a sudden, white people moved to Brooklyn, or wherever there was like culture and flavor and taste. They had some oxtails one time, favorite dish now, then now they want to just be buying it up.
Oh, you have to try the oxtails.
And then they want to make their own versions.
From the Caribbean.
With like raisins or something.
Yeah, it's always raisins. Or like their take on it, like a bouillabaisse reduction of oxtail.
A bouillabaisse.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Okay,
what's your
so what's your favorite euphemism for a swear word?
What? Oh, for a swear word.
Yeah.
For a swear word. What's my favorite euphemism for a swear word? Oh, you know what? Like, well, this isn't a swear. Like, breasts aren't swears. When I think of swears, I think of the words that I would get popped in the mouth as a kid if I said. So, like, it's not just the fucks and the shits and the bitches. Like, it's also, like, if my mom would, I just admitted to something. What I would say is my mom would correct my language. I saved it. If I even said, like, dang or stupid. Like, because, like, you don't say that. I'm like, but they say it on cartoons all the time.
I know what you, okay.
Mm-hmm. Doink for the F word.
Doink?
Doink, yeah.
Where'd you get doink from?
Well, it's partially from Doink the Clown, the WWE wrestler legend. But also I don't know when I heard it, but someone in my past used that word for, like, they had sex, they banged, right? They got it on. And instead of that, I was around and they said, oh yeah, he doinked her. He doinked.
I mean, I have heard doinked kind of in that,
But because it's so, like, you would never, like, of all the words to say, like, of all the onomatopoeias.
Yeah.
Doink, like, it doesn't even, I think it's the hard K at the end. Like, that's what makes it sound stick silly. Out to me. Yeah, it's doink. Like, yeah. What about you?
When I was, so I remember, like, I went to a parochial school, and I also was not allowed to curse at home. Mm-hmm. So I used to make up very interesting ways to curse without actually cursing. I didn't like saying the usual, like, what everyone would say, like HE double hockey sticks or whatever. But I did make up one for fuck, which was freak jigget. I don't remember how or why, but I made it up. I was 12.
Freak jigget?
Freak jigget. I'd be like, what the freak jigget? And so,
you know what that is? I think I get it. Like, that's what it sounds like when you hear swearing bleeped out, like, on TV. Because, like, you know how, like, on TV, they, back in the day, like...
When they used to bleep them?
When they used to bleep it, like, you could make out the first...
Little sound, yeah.
You know what they were starting to say. Like, it'd be like... And then the bleep. Mm-hmm. So, like, it sounds like you just onomatopoeia that sound. Freak chicken. The freak chicken!
Maybe. I mean, it just was... I just wanted to...
Otherwise, it sounds like the kind of curse that animated cricket would say.
I just used to be like... I knew I would say fuck.
On the wooden boy's
I knew I couldn't say fuck. I didn't want to say freak. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, what the freak chicken? It worked.
All right, it works.
All right, so that's it for the questions.
That's it for the questions.
Are you ready to jump into...
Questions, yes. It is time for... Oh, this is not my laptop, so I don't know which... I'm going to assume this is the button for pop culture. This must be... Okay.
Yes, you were right. Good for you.
Good for me, yes. Yeah. So, where are we starting?
All right, I'm going to just... Listen, I'm going to say we are going off the cuff here. Because of our technical difficulties, I didn't write these on the board. So they're just up on my laptop, and we're just going to go with it. You know why? Because we got it like that.
Can I have it like that? You got it like that? Can I have it like that? You got it like that?
All right, so there is an update, and this is I don't know if whatever you can call it. You can decide whether you think it's good or not. But a judge in Minneapolis has sentenced Tuohy, one of the former police officers who held back bystanders as other officers were restraining George Floyd. And he has gotten 4 years and 9 months in a state prison. He was found guilty of aiding and abetting second-degree murder.
I think that's Tao.
Second-degree manslaughter. What did I say? Tao. Yeah. How do you pronounce this one? Tuohy?
Tuohy. Yeah.
I hope I pronounced that correctly. I mean, he may have helped murder someone, but I don't want to say someone's name wrong. Either way, he was another one bites the dust, goes to jail. So, great. glad for every police officer to always.
I will
even
say
as an
this,
abolitionist, I want all the police officers to go to jail.
I will say this: if anybody had to go down, like in my mind, as soon as I heard this, I was just like, "Well, what about the white ones?" You know what I mean?
I think that the white ones may have. Let me look. I think some of them did go to jail. The ones that were like holding him.
Mm-hmm.
Well. Oh, actually. Because Siobhan, the one that was on him,
Siobhan was white?
Yeah, he was the white officer who was the main one. He was guilty of second and third degree murder. Chauvin.
Yeah.
As well as second degree manslaughter. He was sentenced to 22 and a half years in prison.
Okay.
And then a year later, he was sentenced to 21 years in federal prison after pleading guilty to violating his constitutional rights. Thomas Lane, who held down Floyd's legs, was convicted of violating his rights. He is concurrently serving 2 sentences for 2.5 years and 3 years at federal prison. Well, that's not that much.
Yeah,
he
that's really not that much.
If you're sitting on somebody's legs, that seems to me like you are aiding and abetting and should have gotten more. But,
yeah.
All right, J. Alexander Kuhn, who helped pin him down, was convicted in 2012 of violating his rights. He's one of the black officers. He pleaded guilty to state charges of manslaughter, and he has concurrent sentences of 3 years and 3.5 years. The fourth officer, who is Tao, an Asian American, has the 3 years. So, I mean, all of them, I think that police officers should get sentenced more. Because you're officers of the law.
But this does set a precedent that opens it up
It does.
More police officers being held accountable. But like we've all heard and have seen at this point, like, the court system, the DA and everybody have to work with the police. And therefore, they, because they have to work with the police, they're more reticent to, bring the police up on charges, and everything like that, which is very messed up.
But the fact that I remember when the George Floyd protests were happening and the police in New York and across the country were being very much like, "Oh, you don't like us? Well, we're gonna stop doing our job."
Yeah, we're gonna
That is not what you get paid.
A slowdown, like a work stoppage or something, and it's like they threw a tantrum.
Even like the doctors during COVID. Like the height of COVID, when people were threatening them and calling them all these conspiracy theorists were attacking them, harassing them, etc. None of them at any point could have said, "You know what? I'm not going to do this job because all these people hate me." It does not matter. Whatever your job is, you have to do it regardless of how people feel about you. That is what you're getting paid for. You don't get paid for people to like you. So the fact that a police officer would derail justice because he's being held accountable is fucking bullshit. And another reason why
I hate this
country
is
abolish and defund, deactivate, and remove these police officers because they don't actually care about the community and they don't want to actively help it, because that should be the least amount of things on your mind, is whether or not the people you're protecting like you. Are you doing something to make them like you?
It's for that reason that we just got finished watching, or we're close to being finished watching, Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, there's a part of me that would like to go back and binge watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Mm-hmm. But there's the other part of me that's like, the one part of me is like, well, it's by the same dude who does The Office. And it's fun and it's funny, and they, all the characters are well defined, and they have interesting arcs, and there's a lot of humor to be mined there, and Andy Samberg is just a national treasure. The whole cast was great. The whole cast is great. At the same time, though, it's propaganda, and I've been doing a good job of staying away from propaganda.
But I still
watch
the last
few
SVU.
years. I watch The Wire, and at least that
SVU.
propaganda is like it's. I would say The Wire is less propaganda, and it's more because it points out all of the flaws.
Wrongs, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's this is a broken system. But at the same time, it's hard for me to just be like, ooh, look at Sergeant Terry. Like, this big,
but
muscly
also
black
Terry
dude
Crews,
who's
mostly
also a cop, and he could bend my back, like, just for reading the Miranda rights.
But Terry Crews is also kind
The
of sullying
Lin-Manuel
the show
Miranda rights.
because he's annoying. But, like, I think that it's like sometimes, I love Criminal Minds. I love SVU. I'm going to watch that show until... and even though I know it's propaganda. And some shows, I will be like, I'll just watch them. But that's because they've been embedded in my, like, the zeitgeist for so long. I'm not going to add new ones. Like, even though that show FBI with, what's her name? With Angela Bassett, I would love to watch that and support her.
Isn't that 911, you mean?
Yeah, 911.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch any more cop shows. Why? Because cops be killing people. Even if they're, whatever they are, FBI, CIA, whatever, they're killing people or covering something up. And it just makes it very difficult to watch that and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But speaking of people who are getting locked up, did we mention Tory Lanez getting...
No, we didn't.
We did not. Okay.
We did not talk about that.
Tory Lanez sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Folks, where's the line?
For being a terrible person. And shooting Megan Thee Stallion in her foot when she could have bled out and died and or become permanently disabled. So fuck you, Tory Lanez. Thank God you are getting some accountability. And honestly, I don't even feel like he has priors, and having a concealed weapon and shooting someone and like assault like that. He's lucky he only got 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years is not that much in the grand scheme of things. Like,
I do believe in California, he does have to spend it. He has to be there for 85% of the time. So, because of that, he will be there long enough.
Yeah, more like 5 with good behavior. That's a good point.
But what's 85% of 10? I don't know, 7.5?
8.5.
8.5? Okay, great. Thank you for doing the math in your head. 8.5. So, if he has spent 8.5 years in jail thinking about what he did, hopefully he's going to get some rehabilitation. So when he comes back out, he can actually be a productive member of society and not a troll. He said,
he's having to serve his time here in America, right? Because he's Canadian.
I believe so. I don't think I haven't read that he's going to be, I don't think he's going to be deported, but I think he's going to be serving in California from what I read.
Okay, because, like, that's also should be, pointed out that, like, he's not going back to a Canadian prison.
I think a Canadian prison would be better than an American prison.
Obviously, a Canadian prison would be better than a prison not almost, but like
out of the developed nations, America's prison system is the worst.
It's the worst. Yeah. Like, I was talking to Sam about this the other day. We are a country of extremes. Like, we got it in our mind that
not
us too, but like
some old white men.
Cultural like identity of this country got it in their minds and in the fabric and DNA of this country that because we believed in the concept of freedom at one point, and even then it was a very skewed and flawed version of freedom, but their version of freedom, that now everything has to be both free and competitive. So we end up with the fattest children and not, you know what I mean? Like we have the most obese children and the most most amount of homeless and the most gun violence and the most police brutalities. Like, we have, like, we're not revolutionizing, like, technological industries, and we're not, like, coming up with the newest fucking best phone in the world. So what else should we do? Like, we'll just be number one in a bunch of really bad things.
But I think
we're gluttonous. We are a gluttonous group of country.
I think that when you create something out of hypocrisy, and repression, because all the people that came here were the men that came here and founded this country were being hypocritical in every way. with religious freedom, with anyone's sexual freedom, with the ability to live one's life. Every single thing that they were spouting in the reasons why they moved here and the reasons why they wanted to break away from the British were lies. And that is what has been, what the country was built on. And that's why now we have such a extreme country in so many ways. Because, yes, we could have some of the wealthiest people, some of the smartest people, some of the, like, most innovative people, while also having the poorest and the sickest and the et cetera, et cetera,
and the most racist.
And
like,
the most racist.
Most hatinous ass, Djangoistic, xenophobic, like, all the icks, all the is, you know? Ugh, boy, oh
so
boy.
I'm
but
not,
anyhow, Tory Lanez, like...
Matt, I'm not seeing exactly where he was. I was searching to see if anything would come out.
Where he will serve his time.
It, but I know he's going to serve in California. I mean, this is a violent gun charge, so I think that he would have to go somewhere that he'll probably be
It's
in
less
protective
likely
custody.
that it's going to be a white collar.
Yeah, because white collar crimes, non-violent white collar crimes are the ones that go to like Camp Cupcake.
Yeah.
Like, you know, where what's her name? Martha Stewart was. Yeah. But I think because it was violent, he should be serving somewhere else. But some things that came out after the trial were, so he got 70 letters of like from people supporting him, right?
One of those letters was
Mario, which was very sad.
Wait, really, Mario?
Yes. You should let me love you. He said in the letter, I mean, it was a very long letter, and he said I have never seen Tory act out of character or in a manner to hurt someone. Okay, well, Mario, just because you haven't seen someone do something doesn't mean that they don't do it. Abusers do not abuse everyone. And that is from whether they are emotionally abusive or violent.
That you're from Baltimore.
Like someone, just because someone has not done something to you does not mean that they are not capable of it. Yeah. There are plenty of people that have been lovely to me and terrible to others and vice versa. There's
some people that I'm terrible to and that I'm not terrible to. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you're not terrible in that way.
You
just may not have.
Oh yeah, no, not abusive. Not abusive or anything. I just mean like say some slick shit. I think that
even
I won't give you dap.
Even in regular life, there are people who some people like and some people don't like. That is how it always is. So it's very possible to be even more extreme. And that's just, it's very sad because he always has this like, well, I'm vegan now. I work out. I'm trying to like be a better man to black women and support them, blah, blah, blah. But how could you be wanting to support us when you are bigging up Tory Lanez just because you've known him forever many times? Like, that doesn't stop him from doing what he did. I can understand if you wrote and said, I never knew him to be like this, but, you know, if he could, while he's serving his sentence, can he be given, like, the tools he needs to come out and go to anger management and therapy, et cetera, et cetera. He was just like, we've had hard conversations. Are you writing something on Megan's behalf to say, I support Megan in her trials and her being a victim and almost dying? No. So shut the fuck up, Mario. And that's why, no, we will not let you love us. And this is why you aren't even on the fucking Millennium Tour.
You can't braid my hair. Yes, I am bald, but if I wasn't, if this was 2001, I would not let you braid my hair.
I forgot. I'm just scrolling through some of the tweets.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that a few years ago, he was charged with second-degree assault and released on a $50,000 bail for allegedly attacking his mom at their Baltimore home. So maybe that's why you think he's some stand-up guy. Because you also have a history of assaulting the women in your life. Mario.
Yeah, well, it's very just I want to put a message out to all of my friends out there, like the people who know me, the people, my ride and dies, and, you know, I would hope that you would, not everybody can live a virtuous life or whatever, you know, like sometimes,
all the time. Sometimes
people mess up, and sometimes people get into scrapes, the law's involved, or anything like that. But much like Kevin Hart, like in his most recent special, like, I'm not going to go as far as to snitch on you or anything like that, but don't expect me to write a letter at all on your behalf. First off, I don't even want to, I was about to say something. I don't even want to write letters to my congressman or write letters on the battlefield going like to my dearly beloveds. The war is trifling me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do any of those scenarios. That's why I stay away from wars, and that's why I stay away from the first scenario that I said that I completely forgot. But also, like, just don't get into scrapes with the law where, like, you need a character witness or, like, somebody to write on your behalf, because I don't want to. Unless you'll accept WordPress or Microsoft Word. I'm not handwriting you a letter to say that, like, you're a good guy and he should not go to jail for murder. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing that.
I would write a letter saying how much I loved you, the type of person you were to me, and what you did to my life. And that I hope that while you are serving your time for the murder, that you are being given therapy and the resources to come back out and live a productive life, while also having to have atonement with the family in whatever that meant, community service, paying them off with something, or whatever, that you'd be doing that because you murdered someone, and not like you murdered them in self-defense. If you have cold blood murdered someone for the shits and giggles because they owed you some money or some bullshit like that, unless it is a life-threatening affair, I am not going after you. Just because you want to be fucking big and bad, a cowboy, I'm not going to fucking write a letter for you. I don't care. It's stupid.
It is stupid.
And also, Iggy Azalea, fuck you.
Yeah,
and
also fuck
don't
Iggy
fucking
Azalea.
lie on Beyonce and talk about you toured with her. You did not tour with Beyonce. Number one.
Yeah, when would that have
I think
ever
she
happened?
opened for her in like 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking about she would employ him as a producer if he isn't deported. Bitch, for what? Your Instagram Live? No one's buying your albums. No, I don't even know the last time you had a song.
The last song she had, like, Fancy? What? Did she do Fancy?
She did Fancy. There was a song after Fancy. Could I tell you what it is? No. Are you even still on T.I.'s stupid, dumb label? Probably not. So shut the fuck up and go inject more collagen into some part of your body. Okay? Like, fuck all of them. And shout out to Meg the reporter, a.k.a. Megan Cuniff, for her stellar reporting on this, and I hope she wins some sort of award.
Yes,
because she's done a great job of putting the facts out there. She's been attacked. She's been vilified. But she's been doing what she needs to do as a reporter, and I fucking love it. And also, let me tell you, live reporting... I don't know that. Alexa, stop. Live reporting a freaking court case.
Yeah, that's a lot of.
Is a lot of fucking work.
That's so much work.
It's hard enough to
Did she get paid for this?
To live tweet? No. I mean, as in, are people clicking on her links and sending her more traction?
Getting money from it
for tweeting? No,
I'm not.
If you're a journalist, you go there. You will tweet. If you are a reporter, you go to the place. You tweet out stuff as much as you can. They do not pay you extra for that. You just do it. That is a part of your whole thing. So, and to be able to do that and get clear, concise facts to people is a really big deal.
Yes, it is. It's a really big
because
deal.
I have had to tweet at, not court cases, because at the time when I was going to court cases, you could not, like, reporters were not allowed to, like, do stuff like that. But if you were recording a live event, that's fucking hard. So thank you, Megan.
I learned that the hard way when I was just a Twitter comedian trying to just to tweet something, come up with something clever about the fucking BET Awards.
It's just like all it's you have to like it's not even like you're having to and
then you're missing things too while you're writing. Like, so you have to train your brain to like come up with something. Write it, like, do sentence structure and everything like that. Fit it into a finite amount of words.
If it's an award show, it could be something that is, like, funny or just, like, nonsensical.
Yeah, no, you have to get your facts straight on a court case, yes.
Okay, also, speaking of someone who was recently in court, Kai Cenat, who was charged with the felony. Cenat, thank you. Are you sure it's not Cenat? That sounds like, I think he might be Haitian.
I've heard it as Cenat.
All right, they might not be saying it right, but either way, Cenat. He was charged with a felony for the riot that he caused in Union Square last week or a week or so ago. He went on his live stream and he told his fans how disappointed he was. Just to give you amount of numbers he has, 6.5 million followers on Twitch, 6 million on Instagram, and 4 million on YouTube. He said, after Friday, bro, I've come to realize the amount of not only power and influence that I have on people. I am beyond disappointed that anybody became destructive that day. That shit is not cool. None of that is cool, bro. I'm beyond disappointed in the things that went on Friday. And I want people to know that. None of that was my intention, bro. Not only that, I don't condone any of the things that went on. None of that is cool. Now,
I personally think that anybody who puts that many bros into a sentence...
He's also 22 years old.
Shit, yeah.
He's 22.
Fine, he's 22.
He's 22. That's how my siblings talk. They say bro a lot, and I hate it. Because
but, like, I feel like
as
soon as you get 1 million followers in any field, like, you should immediately invest in some media training.
Listen, he is doing the media training that is for his network of people who are watching him. Do not care about media training. They want him to be real and authentic, and that is him being real and authentic. So Kai, Y, whatever your name is, I'm glad that you have recognized this. Please put it to good use, and maybe talk to your followers about having common sense and behavior when they go outside, because these are young kids. A lot of them young and black and brown kids, boys, who could, if you, one fun thing with your friends is not going to give you the same results as if it was Chad or Johnny somewhere. And just because, I'm sure plenty of them out there want to go to college, want to do something, have something they want to do in their life. I don't think those kids are just like hooligans. I think they just got caught up in the moment and are being dumb, young and dumb and full of cum. And just getting their energy out any way that they can. And unfortunately, that caused probably thousands of dollars of destruction really on top of delays that probably caused other monies
I point
for
out
the
that
city.
Somebody stole a fresh direct truck.
Unless y'all brought that fucking truck to the Mission Bowery and delivered some free food. Come on. Now, use this, rally your fans like this for when it comes to vote and keep Trump out of the White House. And you know what y'all you should do? Put some civic lessons. Give them some information about how to vote, why it's important in every election, and who to look into for a candidate. And it's not just the local elections. Who's going to be the judge? What are they rooting behind? Because it doesn't matter who the lawmakers are if the judges are super conservative and terrible and going to fuck your shit up anyway if you get locked up. But, I don't want him to go to jail. I just want him to be accountable, pay some fines, do some community service, and I think that should be a part of his community service, to teach his followers about how to behave. And to be a better role model.
And if you lose some followers along the way, then so be it.
Then so be it.
You gotta mature sometime. You have to understand. You have to understand the power that you wield when you have a elevated platform. So
yes.
maybe this will be the thing that kickstarts that journey. What's next?
All right, so a white woman has been charged in the Battle of Montgomery.
Yes.
AKA the Montgomery riverfront.
Oh, was
brawl.
it the one who whose Crocs were fucked up, like in that photo?
That photo actually was not from the brawl. It was from another time, but it was hilarious. So I never wanted to yuck anyone's yum while they were tweeting it.
Right.
But it was hilarious. She was the one. Her name is Mary Todd. Of course, it's fucking Mary Todd. Mary Todd, who's 21, is charged with a misdemeanor third-degree assault. She is charged alongside Alan Todd, 23, Zachary Shipman, 25, and Richard Roberts, 48. And I want to give you some tidbits about this Montgomery brawl that have come out since. One, some black women earlier that day. I saw a video today. They were out walking they went over to the riverfront, which used to be a port where they received enslaved Africans. And they had been putting flowers out into the water for the ancestors and doing some ancestor veneration. And the ancestors turned the fuck up that day because when they heard the call, it was the hat went up and it was just like, on your left. And the ancestors were throwing. It was like, if you ever want to think about, like, people talk about how in Haiti, the first country in the Western Hemisphere to free the enslaved Africans, and they always talk about how our ancestors used voodoo and called on the ancestors for protection and for courage and for strength that day. This is what I imagine that fateful day in the river when the annals and the stories that have been passed down say that the river ran with blood. This is just this is like a snippet. This is like a little taste of what could have possibly happened. Because you know why? When you venerate your ancestors and you ask them for strength and courage, they will always provide, especially against fucking white, racist ass people who think they can fuck around and not find out. So, thank you, ancestors, for fucking their shit up.
I still love the rap that's going around.
Oh, yeah. Wait, fine. We gotta, you know what? We're gonna play it when we come back.
Oh, maybe not on this laptop.
We're gonna play it when we come back because it's perfect. That's gonna be the song we come into next. Wait for it. It's gonna be perfect. Yes, but please continue to share good news. Share the good news about this because I am very excited. And also a good thing is that they have not a good thing. They have released the name of the man who was wielding the chair. His name is Reggie Ray, blackest name ever.
Yes, it is.
He's
Reggie
42 years old, and they charged him with 1 count of disorderly conduct. And he was temporarily housed, but they released him on bond. I want everyone to rally around this man.
Create a Patreon for him.
And just help him out because I found...
Or GoFundMe would probably be more
a GoFundMe. Because what I found out... another thing I found out, which is why I feel like this ass whooping was a wholly justified for everybody. Even the woman especially the woman who got fucking hit with the chair, is because I found out not from any of the people on the boat, but the white captain of the Harriet, which was the name of the boat. He said that he had been telling those people to move. And the man we saw on the dock was not a security guard. He was actually a captain of another ship who was his friend. He was asking him to help him. And that the white people called him a nigger. And that's why he called the fucking black bat signal. These motherfuckers are going to learn today, okay? So that's why all of them needed to get their ass whipped, because that is a hate crime, and I'm very glad that they did. And I want us to go to Alabama next August 5th and turn the fuck up. I want to be on that, because I know black people. If I know one thing, I know black people. And I know black people are gonna show up and show the fuck. They're gonna have chair costumes. They're gonna have chairs in their hair. They're gonna have chair tattoos. They're gonna have chair chains and purses. They're gonna have chairs on their feet. I'm literally, I need to be there. I need to book a ticket right now to be in Alabama for that weekend because I know that it's going to be just chef's fucking kiss. We all need tickets on the Harriet on that day because Auntie Harriet came out. She and the other, her, Sojourner, all of them.
Yep, Harriet Tubman, Harriet the Spy, like all the Harriets came out to help with this bullshit.
All right. So that was. I feel like we can maybe do like one more.
Yeah, I think we have time for one more.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see which one I want to do. Okay, I will do. Because I can do these other ones later. Oh, Lil Tay is not dead.
Yeah, Lil Tay's not dead. We didn't
talk about her.
But yeah.
She's not dead. She's a rapper, young woman. I think she's 24 years old. 14. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong numbers. She's 14 years old, social media personality, and a rapper. Her name was Lil Tay. And someone said she died, and she has not. So I don't know why people did that, but please leave people alone. That's weird. But this is a story that I think we can spend a few minutes on because I saw it today and it came out literally like a few hours before we recorded. So, do you remember the movie The Blind Side?
Yes.
Okay.
I hated it.
You did?
Yes, I hated the movie.
Why?
Oh, I was just like, the movie should be about the football player, but instead it's about fucking Meg Ryan or whoever the fuck Sandra Bullock. Like it's about she won the well, first off, the actor who played the football player, not that good of an actor. Not very expressive, like to carry an emotional. But then I get a better fucking actor. Okay, no, that's neither here. It's his story, but she's framed as like the hero and
savior.
The protagonist and the white savior and stuff. So I always hated her for that.
Well, the story was about Michael Oher or Oher. I don't know how to pronounce him. I'm sorry. It's Oher. So Oher. I'm gonna say it like that. He was the inspiration behind that movie, and he in the movie, if you've never seen it, he is a high school football player who's on hard times, bad home life, real kind of homeless. I think he was homeless at that point, where this woman, Leanne Tuohy, sees him after she drive her son home from school or drop him off at school, and convinces her husband Sean that they should adopt him. Now he's adopted by the family. They are in the movie. It's like they're supportive of him, take care of him, all his needs, etc., etc. This leads him to him going to college.
I never had this before. A bed. Like if you don't. Fucking bullshit.
I forgot he said that. And he's like he was a huge kid. He's a big black kid. He's like a big football player. 6'4" at 13 or whatever. So it was this big black man being taken in by this slight white family and them embracing him, and now he's one of their own. Nobody knows that we're non-family and all that other bullshit. And he says now in a lawsuit that he was never adopted by the family, yet they made millions off of him while he received nothing. He said they didn't adopt him and tricked him into signing a document that made him his conservators. They said that the family, both the parents and the children, I read, were making money from, each of them were making money from the movie, which made more than $300 million in the box office. He got nothing for it. And his lawyer, the lawsuit says the lie of Michael's adoption is one upon which co-conservators Leanne Tuohy and Sean Tuohy have enriched themselves at the expense of their ward, the undersigned Michael Oher. Michael discovered this lie to his chagrin and embarrassment in February of 2023 when he learned that the conservatorship, which he consented on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the Tuohy family, in fact provided him no familiar relationship with the Tuohys. And since at least August of 2004, conservators have allowed Michael, specifically in the public generally, to believe that the conservators adopted Michael and have used that untruth to gain financial advantages for themselves and the foundations which they own or which they exercise control. All monies made in said manner should in all conscience and equity be disgorged and paid over to the said ward, Michael Oher, which is true because...
So it's basically just slavery with extra steps.
And they treated him really nice.
Yeah.
He had a bed.
Oh,
they traveled with him. They gave him clothes and helped him, get through college.
They put up...
Basically,
this is insidious. This is some insidious shit.
Oh, shit. I forget his name. But there was an ex-enslaved man who was a, amazing pianist. Mm-hmm. He was purchased. This slave. This
isn't the story of 12 Years a Slave, right?
No.
Okay.
He the slave trafficker who owned him, someone's wife or whatever, saw him perform, loved him, bought him. She then continued to teach him how to play. Then the family basically brought him around, traveled around with him around the world. He was playing. He was making the equivalent of probably $1 million or so a year. Mm-hmm. They pocketed everything, and he didn't. I think at some point he did leave them and went on his own. Mm-hmm. But that family just pocketed every penny, and they didn't treat him poorly. From what we know, it was they traveled around with him. He was fed. He was clothed very well. For all intents and purposes, he was doing very well for himself. But this is just a modern day story of white people enslaving someone to do the work for them because they don't want to do it for themselves. And what makes it even worse in this situation, this family was not some poor white trash family in a trailer park who didn't have anything and saw him as
really well off.
They were well off. So this was not even
that's what makes it insidious.
We're doing this because we know it's bad, but we're not trying to harm him, but we think that this is the way that we can get our family out.
They were greedy.
This
were
is just
some
being
greedy,
terrible people. So fuck y'all, and I hope that he gets every bit of you and your children's inheritance, because the children were paid $225,000 for the movie being made. Yeah. And he has not gotten any. So fuck them. I hope that he gets all of their money and every bit of whatever that comes from their foundations. And I look forward to seeing how that plays out. All right, so I think we'll take a quick break.
Yes, we will.
And then before Instagram kicks us off, and then we'll be right back with our mental health section and the rest.
Yes, we will be back with more of the Black and Snerdy podcast.
You're listening to the Black and Snerdy podcast.
We now return to the Black and Snerdy podcast.
If there's a cure for this, I don't want it. I don't want it. If there's a cure for this, I don't want it. I don't want it. Think about it all the time. Thinking only makes me smile and say, hey, I don't want to shake it. Love the love you make it. If there's a cure for this, I don't want it. I don't want it. If there's a remedy, I run from it. And that is just a snippet of Love Hangover by
Diana Ross.
Diana Ross.
The original Beyonce.
The original Diana.
There would be no Beyonce without Diana.
No, I'm saying the original, before Princess Diana, that was Diana Ross.
Yes, you are very right.
I'm just saying.
And if you have
she's
not
the Diana in the black community.
If you have not watched... No, Diana's Diana of the black community. Both of them are the Dianas of the black community.
You think
Princess
Diana?
People love Princess Diana.
Really?
Yes.
For real?
Yes.
Is that
Do you know how many of our mothers...
Black people, do y'all love Princess Diana?
Our mothers obsessed with Princess Diana.
Really?
Yes.
I don't remember.
They
my
loved
mom.
her moms across the world love Diana. But black moms, she was a hardworking woman of the people, this single mom who got fucked over by this fuckboy and was taking it in stride and saying, fuck you, fuck your royalty, I'm gonna do what I want, and fuck you haters. Loved her. Black women, my mother was obsessed. When Princess Diana died, it was as if her bestie had gone. She was
really
obsessed.
I think it might have just skipped my family because, like, my mom never mentioned anything about Princess Diana.
I'm gonna ask her the next time we see her. I'm gonna be like, what you think about Princess Diana? See what she says. I want to see if that recalls anything because loved everybody. I'm not saying I know. I just thought there was just indifference. That's why we were so behind Meghan Markle. No,
you know,
the only reason why
hey, our first princess.
Black people are behind Meghan Markle because black people are behind Harry and because Meghan Markle is black, but even more so because of Harry. If she was marrying like one of those snotty, snooty white princes, she'd probably
like E did. Ooh.
They would have gone up for it.
I never forgot.
She would have gone up for it. We would have gone up for it, but it would have been like not as much as if it was. But Princess Diana's son.
Okay.
It's like reference.
All right. Cool.
Are you ready for the mental health section?
I think so. I have no idea if this is the button. Yeah, it is. Welcome to our mental health section. We are so lucky to be mindful people and mindful friends who check in with each other's mental health because we're not advocates, we're experts. We are not experts, we are advocates when it comes to mental health and taking care of your mental health and looking after yourself and self-care and all that good shit. And of course, we start this off with a question. Hit me with that sloppy cue.
I don't know, I want it to be sloppy.
Yeah, it is. It's a very sloppy cue. There's drool everywhere.
How do you tell the difference between your intuitions and your fears?
That's a really good, thoughtful question. My fears tend to be tied to specific memories. Mm-hmm. And therefore, and I feel like my intuition is based off of, logic. You know, just risk versus reward. Mm-hmm. And weighing out the pros and cons and all that other shit. Whereas my fears are straight up nope, I went on that roller coaster that one time and got stuck on that roller coaster, therefore I don't ever have to get on a roller coaster ever again. I'm also in my 30s. Why would anybody past the age of 20, let's say 7, get on a fucking roller coaster?
They're fun.
They're fun.
They are.
You know what's fun? Anything other than roller coasters.
I think roller coasters are fun. I know that, but you have fears of roller coasters because of what happened to you on one.
Yeah.
I do not.
I'm not getting stuck on another fucking roller coaster.
I don't have those fears. I'm cautious of which roller coasters I would go on now because I don't like. So, have you been to the Six Flags in New Jersey?
No.
So, that Six Flags and Coney Island both have these very, very old, rickety roller coasters. And they're the oldest ones that they have. And when you're in them, you're going like this, knocking your head around like a fucking bobblehead. I don't like that. So I don't want to do that. But if it's a fun roller coaster, even if it goes upside down or has a loop-de-loop, I don't mind that. The only issue I have now is I'm not going to go on a roller coaster or really any super dangerous kind of ride at a local fair because they have been breaking down, they've been killing people, and I don't like that. So I probably if I were to go to Disney World or Six Flags now, I would definitely be very picky on the roller coasters that I went on because I do enjoy that thrill of it, but I'm not trying to like fly off or be dangling upside down somewhere for an hour, which happened at like, I don't know, Disney World, Japan recently. I forgot which country it was. It was somewhere in Asia, and they were dangling there for a long time. And I was like, no, that's never. And you're upside down. That means you're probably getting some weird like
blood rushing through.
To your no.
That's not.
But okay, did you answer the question?
Yeah, I did. Did you?
Well, I think that the difference for me between anxiety or intuition and fear is the anxiety that comes along with it. Because I think that, like, say for instance, if I'm going to do public speaking, or I'm going to like, say I'm moderating something, before I go on, I'm going to have such terrible anxiety that I am going to fuck it up. Like, that is the, like, I'm just worried. And then I get in there, and that's fine. Like, it was great. People loved it. I'm getting all these praises. Versus intuition, if am like, say I'm traveling, if I'm just like hanging out and I'm like, you know, I should go put my passport, or have the thought of like, I should go put my passport in my passport bag, and make sure I have it so I can find it. And that is like, I'm just chilling, and it's like a thought that comes up, and like follow it. Because then it's like, well, maybe when I went to go get my passport, maybe it wasn't in the place that I thought it was, and I was going to have to look for it more. And that could have, like, if I did that on the day of, I would have hated myself because that would have caused me anxiety. But I did look up, like, the difference between, like, how to discern anxiety and intuition. And it's on Mind, Body, Green. And the writer, Catherine Allen, says that intuition comes from a calm and mindful state that is not emotional and is therefore objective to the energy or messages that are come through. Having confidence in your intuition is a process of self-awareness. Anxiety is screaming, vibrating, unbalanced force, and it sends people into a state where they have a racing heart and jangled nerves. So I think that's a good way that I try to discern it.
It's literally, it's logical versus emotional.
Yeah.
Like, if you're reacting to something with like a visceral emotion attached to it, then there's a chance that it's the source of that is fear. Whereas if you're reacting to it from like a calm, mindful place, and you've thought of all of like the details that go into the action and everything like that, then that's coming from a logical place.
Yeah, and I think that I try to do that for the majority. Like, I think that so often I get frustrated when people respond to something versus reacting to it. Or, sorry, when someone reacts to something versus responding. Because if you're responding to me, that means you have thought about what I've said or what's happening. You have processed it and are giving a equal response.
Sure.
Versus a reaction where it's like, if I say, oh, I spilled the milk, and you're like screaming and having this like, or like, oh my God, I can't believe it. What's going on? Like, that is an unequal response to this action, which will then only, is like the fix is something small. And so instead of saying like, oh, you dropped the milk, all right, well, go get a paper towel or something and clean it up. Where is it? Is anything ruined? No? All right. Like, those responses I think are very important to me, because I feel like people who respond, or being in situations where someone is just very reactive, is very triggering to me. And it also makes me reduce the amount of emphasis that I put on their reactions and responses, or their responses, because if you're always reactive, then I will never know when something is actually wrong. Or you're actually feeling XYZ. So I think I think we could all be very mindful of how we are that we are responding versus reacting in situations outside of us and internally. Because if you're always reacting to something, I have anxiety, and being that jangling of your nerves constantly is not fun. And it also doesn't make you a great person to be around. Like, nobody wants to be around the person who's always yelling or always upset or always having an attitude. Like, that is not pleasant to be around. So I think, like, if we can just learn to trust our intuitions and be self-aware of who we are, then when we go into situations, we could trust this is a good situation, this is a bad situation, or maybe I should do something else. And we would be less likely to be so, what is the word? We would be less likely to be so, having like a negative Nancy mindset. You know? And not going for things because you're just afraid. Because we're always going to be afraid. And if we, or we're always going to have something that we are considering in our heads. Mm-hmm. And at least let us have the most clear-minded way of dealing with that, so that we're not just, constantly stressed out.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I guess that's fair.
But, all right, so that's our question. So how was your week? How's your mental health been?
My mental health has been taxed this week. Mm-hmm. A little bit of backstory. This is the first weekend that I've had to work.
Yes.
This is the first job I've had in literal years, decades even, mm-hmm. in which my schedule involved working on a weekend.
Yeah.
And that alone was enough to take psychic damage to my lobe. Because now, okay, when you go from having structure to no structure,
yeah,
it's a lot. And then you go from having no structure to now having to wrap your head around, my body has taken a toll because I've spent the better part of my working years, the years in the workforce, working 5 days straight and then 2 days off.
Yeah.
Obviously, sick days, vacations, they play a part in there. But, I'm conditioned to a certain amount of mental space and certain amount of, energy put to the next 5 days straight. Mm-hmm. And just to know that there's 2 days, and then, being able to recover 2 mm-hmm. days back to back.
Yeah.
Right now, my structure is 2 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. It's not even the same consistent days. So This was the first weekend where it really took a toll. And also, fucking 8 in the morning on a Saturday and a Sunday. 8 in the morning. I have to be there, which means I have to be up earlier.
Because the trains don't even run really as quickly.
Oh my God.
At least during the week, the trains are going to run consistently. But on the weekends, it could be pretty of a
that was just taxing to my mental. Mm-hmm. And then some stuff that I'll get into in another segment happened, which has also been taxing. My mental has been fried, quite frankly. I ain't got no insurance. I ain't got no medication. I ain't got no therapist. So a lot of the last few months have been taking the years that I've been in therapy and the tools that I've been given and applying that on a day-to-day basis. And it's hard. You know what I mean? It's hard when you intellectually know these things, mm-hmm. and then putting them into place is another thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes circumstances surrounding those make it even more difficult to be able to put yourself in that mindful space, Yeah. So this week has just been a hard week. And it has taken its toll, outside of some bright spots out of the week, this has been a very challenging week.
Yeah.
It could also be worse, but I'll get into that later in a different section. How's your week been? How's your mental health?
Let's see. This last week, well, I had therapy last week, which was great. And we were talking about like some job stuff that has been kind of taxing and weighing on me, and trying to figure out some solutions. Like, I feel like the thing is with work is there's a lot of things that are changing, and I'm good with certain types of change, but when it's changes that don't make sense, I feel like that's the part that really makes it difficult for me to be able to adapt.
Sure.
'Cause like one good thing with ADHD, you're super adaptable and flexible, and you could like a chameleon, you could change as the colors do. But then on the flip side, with ADHD, there's always that like underlying why. Of like just I'm not understanding why, because it doesn't make sense. And if something doesn't make sense to me, especially when I have other information that like adds to it not making sense, it makes it even more difficult to wrap my head around something, especially if something is going to possibly impact me in a negative way. And so having to weigh those things and just, it's just lots of upheaval, and that's frustrating. And I don't want to add any more excess stress to myself about work, because I'm just trying to work, do my job, do my best, and then get out. Get out of here. Go away for the day. And then otherwise, I would say, I made a year at work, so that's great. Thank you very much. So I feel like, I'm feeling edified by that. Like, I've taken on a new challenge, and it has been taxing at times and frustrating at times, but I'm doing it. And like I've been getting, great feedback, so that's awesome. But things are changing, and I'm trying to figure out which ways are like I can maneuver them to work best for me. And I'm also still looking for a psychiatrist. And I also have I feel like I have a lot of things on my to-do list, and I am.
Is this like a work to-do list or just a to-do list in general?
Like job, like life, like work, job. I have a lot of things on both my daily to-do list and then on my longer to-do list, and I feel like that's overwhelming, and frustrating, and probably need more support in getting all the things done in like a timely fashion.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the reduced amount of stress and pain. But yeah, I think that's been it mainly. Like I feel like on the having to do the day-to-day things, like bare minimum day-to-day things, can be taxing energy-wise for me.
Yes.
And then adding like work, and then adding life things, life to-dos and things to figure out and look into, and like there's so many things on there, and it's just feels heavy on me.
Yeah. And that's understandable.
So,
well, if there's anything that I can do to help, just let me know.
all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's it. Are you ready to move on to our next section?
You better believe it.
Bringing it. What? We gripe it. We're not griping anywhere else. We gripe it. This safe space for us to share. We gripe it. We ain't griping anywhere else. We gripe it.
So, what is...
I went last time.
No, I went first.
Oh.
in the last segment.
Okay. I have a bunch of things in the news that are pissing me off.
Sure.
So I'll talk about those.
All right.
And then I probably am going to agree with you with whatever you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So should I go first?
Yeah,
Okay.
go.
Okay, fine. 1, the SAG, the strikes have claimed, well, I'm not going to say they've claimed a victim, but we are starting to see how even bigger celebrities are getting, what is the word? Shafted, but also just screwed, impacted on this. Billy Porter said he is selling his home because of the strike. He said, I don't know when we're going to go back to work. The life of an artist until you make fuck you money, which I haven't made yet, is still check to check. I was supposed to be in a new movie and on a new television show starting in September. None of that is happening. To the studio executive who said we're going to starve them out until they have to sell their apartments, you already starved me out. And he, went on to say that this has been a very damaging effect on the whole business. And it's really true. And I just, I don't understand why these executives are acting as if paying people like a livable wage is such a difficulty when you're making so much money.
And it dawned on me, like, not too long ago. They already have the things that are currently in place for them to make enough money to outlast the strike.
Of course.
Like, the systems that are in place for them to get revenue and revenue streams and, like, recoupables and all this other shit is the very system that is broken and is trying to be reworked for the actors to get paid, like, equity and like, equal pay and a cost of living, like, increase and shit. And, like, livable wages and everything like that. So, like, the execs literally can afford to not do shit.
They're just as
they're literally making money while doing absolutely nothing.
As we spoke about earlier with the Tuohy family, just because you're wealthy and have everything you need and are living a very privileged life doesn't mean you're not going to be greedy assholes. Because that is America. So they are living the founding fathers' dreams of fleecing people out of their labor and their agency to build and line their own pockets.
Get ready for a bunch of reality shows hosted by fucking influencers.
But I don't even think... Well, we'll get stuff by people who are not SAG and who probably would never have been SAG. So,
I guess... think we're going to get a bunch of scab projects?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Like,
I figured we would just lean heavier into, like,
I think
reality shows.
That people who are influencers,
they're cheap to produce, and
people who are influencers who have never gotten into SAG anyway are going to be in these movies, and they're going to be terrible for the most part. Maybe one of them will be great, but then they're never going to be able to join SAG. So who cares? But you know what? Fuck them. I hope Billy Porter and the rest of it's not even just the actors or the writers. It is the makeup artists. It's the food delivery people, the janitors, the landscapers. Like, every single person is right now currently affected. And there have been a lot of people who have been, given money. A bunch of our celebrities have donated like $1 million each. So they're getting help, but like, it's not enough. And okay, another fuck you to Neo for being transphobic. Neo, who nobody cares about, because where have you been and how long? Only thing you've been producing is more children with random women who were not your wife.
He just can't stop.
So I want to say maybe a week or two ago, so I saw this story but we just didn't have time to talk about it. He had been on Vlad TV, and for whatever reason, he was discussing parents allowing their children to get gender affirming care, and he said, "I just personally come from an era where a man was a man and a woman was a woman, and there were 2 genders, and that's just how I rocked. You could identify as a goldfish if you feel like. I don't care. That ain't my business. It becomes my business when you try to make me play the game with you. I'm not going to call you a goldfish, but if you want to be a goldfish, you'd be a goldfish. We live in a weird time, man. We do. And then he issued this iOS press release on Instagram. After much reflection, I'd like to express my deepest apologies to anyone that I may have hurt with my comments on parenting and gender identity. I've always been an advocate for love and inclusivity in the LGBTQI plus community, so I understand how my comments could have been interpreted as sensitive and insensitive and offensive. But
why are you going on? Why is anybody going on Vlad TV for anything?
QTNA.
I used to just go on Vlad TV for the most ignorant, dumb interviews, but then I was like, you know what? There's a better way of using my time. You know what I mean? I was just I don't need to watch this stuff. But now it seems higher, but those were lower rappers. You know what I mean? Some bumblefuck.
I mean, the fact
dude
that
snitching on themselves.
These
that
black
were from the internet. But now it's higher profile. When? All right, never mind. Maybe this is my level of
even high
ignorance.
profile anymore?
Or black comedians beefing with each other. You know what I mean?
I think that
Cat Williams
all these black people who are, whether they're A-list or D-list famous, keep going on this white man's show and making a fool of themselves.
Yes.
And they keep doing it, and I don't know why. There's so many other black journalists who you could speak to that would ask you real questions and would not. I'm sure, I have not watched a clip of this. I only read the transcript, so I'm sure Vlad probably asked him a baiting question to give his stupid answer to. But after all that went down on Instagram, he then decided to put up a video saying, taking back his apology. And said that he didn't intend to hurt anyone, but that he can have his own opinion. He said, I have no beef with the LGBTQIA community whatsoever. I ain't got no beef with y'all. Do whatever the hell it is you want to do. Do what you want to do with your kids. However, somebody asked my opinion on this matter, and this is how I feel. I will never be okay with allowing a child to make a decision that detrimental to their life. I will never be okay with that. I doubt that there's any book anywhere or any opinion that somebody is going to tell me that's going to make me okay with letting a child make a decision like that. If I get canceled for this, maybe this is a world where they don't need a Neo anymore. Sir, we haven't needed Neo since 2003.
Also, just trying to understand how interviews work. Is Vlad paying these people to come on the show?
So, if you are a respectable journalist, you will not be paying someone for an interview.
Yeah.
However, Vlad is not a journalist. He is a blogger, vlogger, and so he might be paying these people to come on the show because he's not a journalist. He just wants to. He's an influencer, so it's basically like, I want you to be on my Instagram Live, and I will pay you to be on there. As if someone, when we start getting advertisers and they say, I want you to be in, I want to put my ad in the middle of your show, I'm going to pay you this amount of money for X amount of things. That is what it's like on the show. So
sure.
I would not be surprised if he was paying these people hefty bucks. Also, he has a very large platform that these people want to be seen on, and they know that the advertisers are going to come. It's a whole thing, unfortunately. But Neo also, someone asked him in his Instagram post what he would do if he has 7 children, if one of them came out as transgender or non-binary. He said, if one of my 7 kids were to decide that he or she wanted to do something other than that, to be something other than what they were born as, once they're old enough and mature enough to make that decision, so be it. Not going to love them any less. Daddy is still daddy, and he loves you regardless. Okay, you can't say that, and then you can't say that after shitting on people for being trans or non-binary or goldfish, as you put it, and then come back and say you would love your kid. Because if I was your child, there would be nothing in what you have said or how you have responded to this situation that would make me trust you and believe that I could say anything to you when it came to my gender identity or my sexuality or anything. And I think that people, if you don't know or understand a different life, then don't comment on it. It's okay.
Also, just putting this out there. 7 kids, too many. That's too many.
And 7 kids with a bunch of different women who half the time he was being unfaithful for. So what about that? What are you going to tell your children when they ask, what about if my partner that I've married and committed myself to has a baby on me? What should you do? Or what if I have a baby on? Should I be faithful? Why don't you think about those? Are the questions you should be thinking about for your children.
I honestly I have this theory, and we don't have to get into it. But the more children you have, the less good at being a parent to that individual child you are likely to be. And I think once you hit, if you're in a 2-parent household or whatever like that, once you've hit 3, you have reached your max at being considered a great parent.
Well,
anything more, and okay, wait, sorry. Obviously, there are nuances to this statement.
Yes, of course.
And there are nuances to this theory, right? But what I will say is, if you're dividing, there's a finite amount of time in a lifetime. Children need time, attention, care, love, and all that other shit.
Yeah.
You're dividing your time by work, your significant other, and your child. Now, extrapolate that to work, your significant other, your child, your child. Extrapolate that to Neo, who's dividing his time with work, significant other, side chick, child.
I think that also, like, what your theory, I would not say it is a terrible theory. I think there's merit to it. I think that it's harder to parent children that are to be the parents you would want to be to all your children when you have multiple that are all around the same age.
Yes.
Especially, like, it's different if you're having children and they're all 5 years apart, because those key stages that you really are like, there's so much attention being paid, because there's tension all their whole life.
Yeah.
But then you
could mold the other older children into helping you out.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, that's how you get the parentified elder child.
I did this shit for 5 years. Now it's time for you.
But as you have older kids, as your kids get older, they get more and more independent. Mm-hmm. So it's like if you have a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 20-year-old. That's different than if you have a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old. I mean, like, it gets harder and harder, especially when you don't have a large
is
village.
Raising so many children.
And the 10-year-old, the eldest is the eldest, especially the eldest daughter, is gonna end up taking care, and then it's gonna go under. Like, each of those children is gonna end up taking care of the ones under, which is just not fair for those children, and that is not their job. They are children. And he should be worried about his children's upbringing, if they are loved, feeling secure, happy, healthy, and that's all you should be thinking about for any child. Because, like, if I had a child who was trans, would I let them take hormones, or would I let them do a surgery? Mm-hmm. I have no clue, because I'm not in that situation, and that's not something that they would have expressed, but I am not my child.
Yeah.
My life is not, if your child, yes, of course, if your child said, I want to have a shot of whiskey. No. That's obviously, we know that is wrong. But if your child says, I have made this decision, and you let them know that this decision, this is what it means. You've talked to all these doctors, and they have decided this is what they want. And the possibility of them not getting that could mean them harming themselves or hating themselves or any of those things, I would much rather my child say, you know what, I would like to make a different choice when I get older and do something else, versus me not supporting them in a healthy way. And the thing with gender affirming care, so many of these transphobes always think of it as like they're putting their kids under a knife, they're butchering them, when there's so much gender affirming care that has nothing to do with a surgery. Mm-hmm. And that if that child wanted, could be reverted back or whatever, if that's what they so chose. But I think letting your child be loved and happy and healthy in however way they can is more important than anything. And we shouldn't be debating what anyone's doing with anyone else's with their own child, because that's not your child.
Right.
And you could just keep that information to yourself.
Right. Okay.
All right. I'm going to skip this other one because there's one that isn't. I'm telling you right now, people, content warning for violence and infant death. You don't have to do it. I said it. You know it. So if you want to fast forward till we're done with this section, just do that, because it's a very horrifying story. I sent you the video.
Oh, this is one
This
with
is
the video?
This is one of the ones with the video. Jesus. So I would rather just play it, and we are going to listen to it, and then we are going to talk about it.
Sure. Damn.
Is the sound on?
Baby's head and neck so hard and manipulated.
Okay, I just happened to look at TikTok and I saw that I was tagged in this video quite a few times.
Redo it because it missed when it missed the key part of what the lawyer said.
Baby pulled on the baby's head and neck so hard and manipulated.
Okay, I just happened to look at TikTok and I saw that I was tagged in this video quite a few times. So before I get into my opinion on what happened here, trigger warning for a neonatal intrapartum death. So basically what happened to this couple is the patient went in for 37 weeks for delivery on, I think they said July 9th. Over the course of the delivery, she got to complete and pushing. They encountered a shoulder dystocia. That's where the head comes out to about here, but you can't get the shoulders out. Apparently, they're alleging that the physician pulled on the head and neck so hard that bones in the neck, skull, and face were broken. When they could not get the baby delivered, they took her back for emergency cesarean section to deliver the baby via cesarean section, again, because the shoulders were stuck and they could not get the baby out vaginally, or the physician could not. Unfortunately, when that happened, they delivered the baby, and in the process of the cesarean section, the baby was decapitated. So the body was delivered via cesarean section, and then the head ultimately came out vaginally after the cesarean section. Again, allegedly, the family did not know what happened to their baby until 4 days later, on July 13th, when the morgue or funeral home, I forget which one they said, contacted them and let them know their baby was decapitated. Apparently, on the day of delivery, morning of delivery, they were allowed to see the baby through a glass window or something. They had wrapped the baby up really tight and allegedly propped the head on the baby's body, so they did not see it for themselves. They were not allowed, allegedly, to hold their baby. Now, I am not saying allegedly because I don't believe anybody's story. I'm saying allegedly because at this point it is allegedly, and I'm a physician, and this is what I do for a living. Now, shoulder dystocia. When we encounter a shoulder dystocia, we do have to...
Jesus fucking Christ, Odie. This is
I said that there was a need
so fucking...
I said that this was a content warning. I told you. So now, just for the video's over, I'm just going to give you the names of the people involved. So Jessica Ross has filed a lawsuit against the Southern Regional Medical Center for the death of her child. And this situation, as you heard, is fucking horrible. And every single person in that hospital deserves to be sued, pay restitution, have some kind of charge against their license. It's a horror film. Now, okay, sorry, my video paused. I had never heard of this happening before. Apparently it does. It is terrible. It's something that can sometimes be prevented, sometimes not. But the issue here is mainly that these people did not tell the woman and her partner that their baby died or how their baby died. They propped him up like a fucking mannequin and then told them they should cremate him. The only reason they found out was because of the funeral home. And that is, child death, infant death is horrible regardless. But to only find out that your child died this way, in a traumatic way, whatever way you put it, because of a funeral home and the hospital who was trying to cover it up, is just, it's sick and it's twisted and it's disgusting. And I was even more horrified to see that the doctor, her name is Dr. Tracy St. Julian, was a black woman, because you would think that a black woman would take a black family's suffering into more account and be honest instead of lying to them and turning this terrible ordeal into something even more. Are you okay?
No, I'm not okay. This is a fucked up story. Like, I'm unnerved.
It's a terrible thing that happened. It's terrible. It was the baby dying was already terrible. And then the fact that they covered it up and didn't tell these people and at all is just disgusting. And I hope that this hospital closes down. And after it happened, I heard so many more stories of things happening like this in hospitals, and it just really made me sick and terrified for anyone I know who's having a baby, because where is the care and the consideration for people and what they're going through? And like, to know that she had been in a bad labor for hours and hours and hours, and they didn't take her and to get a C-section until it was too late. I mean, that happens to women all the time, especially happens to black women. Like, infant mortality and maternal mortality is so high, three times more the average of any woman across any socioeconomic class. And they treated it like it was no big deal. Do you want to take a break?
No. I'll power through. But this is yeah. Boy, oh boy. This is morbid. Like, really, 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 really dark. So, I have nothing that I can say to this. This is just upset me. So,
it was very upsetting. And I hope that the family gets whatever they're asking for. And they were only, the woman was only 20 years old. So I can only imagine I just hope that she's getting the support. She and their family are getting the support they deserve, because I couldn't even fathom that something like this could even happen. Do you want me to go through the rest of them?
is there more? How much more is there?
That pissed me off this week. It was a very upsetting week.
Where do you go from this, actually?
I mean, that might have been okay, your turn.
All right. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I can't.
I'm sorry. I did not tell you that I was doing that one ahead of time. I didn't realize you were going to be so.
It is what it is. This has been weird. This has been a rough week. I've lost my train of thought. The only thing that I could think of right now, I had a few things that were on my mind. The only thing that I could think of immediately, I hate my apartment. My apartment sucks. I've said this many times before. This time there was a fucking flood. Water. Let's just say water. Coming. What?
I didn't say anything.
Water coming out of my pipes, flooding my apartment. I swear to God, I think it's okay. That's a whole nother thing. I am thrown. But either way, I'm pissed that I'm pissed for a number of reasons. I'm pissed that I made the decision to stick with a apartment and not do my due diligence when it came to researching. I don't know how much you can research, but it was my first apartment. Some things are going to get overlooked. Like, with each new place that you live on your own, like, you learn the things that you don't like, the things that you do like, the things that you look for, the things that you ask for, that you demand for, things that are no-goes and or deal breakers, anything like that. Right? And I thought I've been living in this city for almost a decade. I thought I built up enough like knowledge to know what to look for and know what not to look for. But like, who could have anticipated the myriad of things that have come with living in this apartment?
Yeah.
But the one that has not broken the camel's back, but just like has maybe given me a hernia, is just water. Just having to buy not even the first time. This isn't even the first time. I had to buy a wetback months ago. Maybe even a year ago. I have no idea. Oh, yeah, no, it was a year ago. Because never mind. This place started out with water issues. Yeah, so, I almost forgot about that. But now they've gotten worse. Yeah. And it has, I'm hoping that the work that my supers have done will do anything. But at this point, I think that all they're paid to do is to just bandage up bullshit until the next thing, you know? Because, like, if you make an iPhone that lasts forever, for a really long time, you can't sell a new iPhone next year.
Yeah.
You know? So I am just annoyed with my landlord, my supers, my building, my apartment, the place that I live, and it's, I had probably more eloquent ways and passion into this, but I am drained at this point. This has been a frustrating day off, and having to deal with it, and this is the only thing I can think of. I forgot everything else that bothered me or pissed me off. So we can all right.
Head to the...
Yeah, I know. I'm getting the music up.
Well, I'm also pissed off by your apartment because it has created a lot of agita and frustration and shitty days.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one thing that I hate my day to be. It's shitty. So we are going to move on to our next section where we honor those who have gone.
Okay. Yes.
He's not going to pay for YouTube Red. And that's okay.
And also, that's too loud. So let's just...
It was quite loud.
Bring it down. These are the RIPs where we pay respect to those who have passed. What?
Okay. Well, first, we are giving a very harmonized goodbye to Melvin Barcliff, aka Magoo, who worked with, you knew him as Timbaland and Magoo. They were always with each other for a long time, like in the 90s and early 2000s. They worked together, and he worked with Missy and so many other artists. And he has passed away at 50 years old. He died at his home in Williamsburg, Virginia, according to his wife, after not feeling well. So we are sending out our love to his family. Also, former Ravens Seahawks player. Former Ravens and Seahawks player passed away. His name was Alex Collins. He had played 5 seasons in the NFL, and he last played with them, or he had his 2 best NFL seasons with the Ravens in 2017 and 2018. And the team said he brought light and love to so many people in his life. It's very sad. He was only 28 years old, which is, never, that's just too young. And there was no cause of death. But of course, we're sending our love to all of his family and friends and teammates. Also, Johnny Hardwick of King of the Hill passed away.
Hardwick.
What did I call him? Sorry, Hardwick. Passed away at only 64 years old. He was the
No, he was the voice of Dale Gribble.
Say it again?
Dale Gribble.
Dale Gribble.
The conspiracy theorist guy on the show.
Oh,
Pocket
right.
Sand.
Oh, yes. He was a conspiracy theory obsessed fan. Well, goodbye. Thank you for all the laughs and all that you brought to King of the Hill, because that was a very funny show. And last, but definitely not least, we are saying goodbye to the Black Godfather, Clarence Avant. He did a lot for the Black community, just in music, in film, in politics. He was one of the people who helped get Obama elected. He has, it might still be on Netflix. It's called The Black Godfather, and it talks about, his life. He grew up in North Greensboro, North Carolina. He was born in 1931, and so he saw a lot, from segregation, Jim Crow, the civil rights movement, up until getting to, get President Obama to where he was. And he was just known by everyone as being compared to so many other executives. He had such a loving spirit and heart, and we'll be sad that he is no longer with us, because he was such a great role model. And his wife passed away, I think, in 2020, 2021, I believe, after a home invasion, and I believe she might have been shot. So, now he is joining his wife at 92 years old, and they will be looking down on their family together. So, sending love to all of his family and friends.
Also, DJ Casper, the inventor of the Cha-Cha Slide, died, so.
Yes. Because what party, wedding, gathering is not complete without the Cha-Cha Slide. It's definitely in the zeitgeist for Black line dances that have migrated to everyone. So now it's time for our favorite time of the week, because we love to end the show with some joy.
I'm the baby merchant, tots are us. I give you all the service and no damn fuss. Give the baby merchant just a week or two. I'll have your baby for you.
Boy, what a week. Solar Opposites just dropped. They replaced Justin Roiland's voice, so I'm very curious to see how that season plays out with the new voice actor. Haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but it dropped today, so I'm looking forward to that. Doing another one of these podcasts with you to keep consistency going has been good, and that I don't know, am alive. Yeah.
Are there any parts? Is there anything, or any parts, or of your day, or the things you're doing that you feel like, wow, I'm really happy. This is great.
Getting a bunch of interviews lined up back to back has been a bright spot. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's all you're getting from me right now.
Is it because I didn't tell you about the terrible story?
That can be a whole discussion later, but I don't know. I am doing my best to power through.
Okay. You know what? That's all right.
Yes.
But did we also see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles last
Yes, we saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a really good movie. It was a lot of fun, and the animation was really well done. Shout out to AO. Yeah, and those turtles are black, so that's cool. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There was a lot of black humor, not any black writers. But I will say they did do a good job. But there might not have been any black writers, but I will say they did a good job in their black slang usage.
Still, I think the Spider-Man movie was better, but this is still it was a good movie.
It was a Seth Rogen movie, and he's always generally, I feel like his movies are good.
Sure.
All right. So things that are making me happy this week. Now, this first thing, it's not something that makes me happy, but it's something that I have gratitude for because it is kind of sad. Felicia Rashad is stepping down as Dean of the Howard University Chadwick A. Boseman College of Fine Arts. Her 3-year term will end after this 2023-2024 academic year. And so the university is on search for her replacement. I will say I was very excited when she first got it. I had mixed feelings about it afterwards because of her Cosby comments, but that doesn't mean that her teachings for the kids would not be really useful. She brought a lot of good press to the university, which came with money and access to the students, for the students to different programs, which is amazing. So I'm hoping that the next dean of the School of Fine Arts is as equally or more talented and will have a long career at Howard. Also, this 13-year-old has been made history as the youngest pro soccer player in the American professional team sports. Davian Kimbrough is a forward joining the Sacramento Republic of the second-tier league championship of the United Soccer League. Davian is very adorable. He looks 13 with a little smile. Very excited for him to play because that's amazing. Like, look at him getting his Bend It Like Beckham on. Maybe we'll see him at the World Cup next. More good news. Wayne Brady came out as pansexual. Welcome to the family, Wayne. So he put up a post that said, I am pansexual. He said he's bisexual with an open mind. He was in this was in a interview with People. He had posted up that in an interview he said that in doing my research, both with myself and just with the world, I couldn't say if I was bisexual because I had to really see what that was, especially because I have really not gotten a chance to act on anything, aka he hasn't gotten some dick. So I came to pansexual because, and I know that I'm completely messing up the dictionary meaning, but to me, pan means being able to be attracted to anyone who identifies as gay, straight, bi, transsexual, or non-binary, being able to be attracted across the board. And I think, at least for me, for right now, that is the proper place. I think pan to mean anything that not only can I be attracted to any... I took pan to mean that not only can I be attracted to any of these people or types physically, but I could be attracted to the person that is there. And that is beautiful.
Sure.
Let me find the pansexual definition because I'm not entirely sure. Sexually or romantically attracted to people regardless of their sex or gender. So there you go.
All right.
Congratulations, Wayne, for coming out, living your truth, and for sharing that with the world.
Congratulations, Wayne Brady. Welcome to the family. I'll just put it that way.
We're waving the rainbow flag for you.
Right. And with that, I think that is about everything for the... Yeah. That's pretty much everything for the podcast. Thank you all for listening to this podcast, and we'll be back next week with more. And yeah, this for Ode, I've been Maurice. Take it easy.
Keep it sleazy.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like to contact the podcast, you can reach us via email at blackandsnerdypodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Black and Snerdy Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Black and Snerdy. You can find me, Maurice, on all social media under the handle Licorish is Legit. That's LICORISH is legit.
And you can find me on Instagram. It's that's OD, THATSOD.E. And on Twitter, THATSOD_E. And don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to us. Tune in next time to the Black and Snerdy Podcast, where nerds of a feather flock together.
Remember,
Bye.